During the break between Season 5 and Season 6 of Better Call Saul, a teaser was released, showing Gene take down a wanted poster with Saul Goodman's face on it. Now, the poster read, "Reward of up to $5 million for information leading to the arrest of James M. McGill, Saul Goodman." A $5 million reward is nothing to be scoffed at, and it leaves us to question, why didn't Jeff just call it in prior to this week's episode?
But all I have to do is pick up the phone and it's bye-bye Saul Goodman.
Yeah, but you haven't picked up the phone yet, have you? Or tried to strong-arm me for cash. And guess what? I know why. Because reward money, blackmail, that's not gonna tickle your pickle. I know what you really want.
Oh yeah? What's that?
You want in the game?
Sure, Gene said that Jeff wanted the thrill of committing a crime. But surely money talks above all. Given the choice between committing a crime and having 15 grand of stolen goods, or a clean 5 million, well, do I even need to ponder that hypothetical? You could get flights with Taylor Swift for that money. So I figured I would discuss why Jeff couldn't have turned in Gene. But before we get into it, please leave a like and subscribe. It's completely free and you can always unsubscribe at a later date if you don't like what I'm posting. Let's just get on with it. Now, this poster was released as a promotional teaser, so the first thing we have to do is wonder, how canon is it? It was never shown in an episode, so does it even count? Well, Thomas Schwartz commented on it on Twitter. Someone tweeted him saying, "I love Better Call Saul, but not going to lie. I found it a bit silly that Jeff didn't turn Gene in, considering that there's a $5 million reward for him." So while I thought the episode was entertaining, the writing was kind of forced there, Thomas. He replied to this saying, there is not a $5 million reward for him on the show. It must irritate the Better Call Saul writers to have people pointing at this teaser as a plot hole when really it's just a promotional image that they have no say in creating. Despite what the writer said, is it still possible that this wanted poster does feature in the show? It is, but we'll explore why in a minute. Let's put a pin in it for now. Does anyone else think that whilst it may not be $5 million, there must be a pretty significant reward out for finding Saul? After all, Saul was connected to the murders of both Hank and Gomez at the very least, and that's enough to make every cop in the country want to capture him. The second Breaking Bad ended, Skyler would have listened to what Walt told her to do, and she would have exchanged the location of Hank and Gomez's body in exchange for immunity. So we know that people are actively looking for Saul for that, regardless of how much the actual reward for Saul is. I do believe the writers that this reward poster is simply promotional. The last episode doesn't make any sense if the reward is $5 million. Let's take a pin out of the point we made before and talk about the possibility that the reward poster really was on the wall in the mall. Hey, that rhymes. If what the writer said is true, then that means that this reward poster has been faked and pinned to the wall. How does that make sense? Well, what if the poster was made by Gene and has a fake number on it? What if he has put this poster up as a precaution, so if anyone ever makes them, he's the first person who is informed? I genuinely believe that this poster is a con. What helps this theory is that if you call this number in real life, then a voicemail with Bob Odenkirk's voice can be heard.
The number you have reached is no longer in service. There is no further information at this time.
This poster is simply a honeypot. It has been made by Gene to both give him a heads up to the fact that somebody is onto him, and for him to know if one of his friends has turned against him. He is keeping tabs on the people he knows, as well as the ones he does not. Say if Huel, Francesca, or Bill Bear decided to suddenly cash in on their relationship with Saul, he would be the first person to know so he can take preemptive measures before they figure out the line is fake and inform the actual cops. What lends credence to this is the fact that Gene mentions a reward in Nippy, when he is convincing Jeff to get in the game instead of turning him in. For all we know, he could be referring to this poster that we saw in the promotional teaser. Thomas is telling the truth. There is not a $5 million reward out for Saul, but that doesn't mean that this poster doesn't exist. Besides, if Gene really had a $5 million reward on his head, he would be living in the middle of nowhere with Walt and Dexter, not working in a supermarket with thousands of people passing by every single day. In reality, the reward out for Saul is likely far smaller, or might not exist at all, we don't know. To be honest, we don't even know why Gene is in hiding. He made Francesca shred all the paperwork and he covered up his tracks. Walt is dead and Jesse is gone, so the only thing really connecting him to all this is Skylar. The others all worked for him, so we're less likely to turn him in. I don't see Bill Bear, Huel or Francesca snitching on him, but Skylar mentioning his name is much more possible. I don't see her protecting him at all, which is likely why he's in hiding. Is Skylar really the only link left we have between Saul and Walt? It's not like Saul ever represented Walt in court, so it's not like the courthouse would know that he was his lawyer. He was Jesse's lawyer, I guess, and the cops knew that, but that doesn't prove that he was Walt's. That connection is circumstantial at best. Oh, there's the tape. The tape of Jesse's confession. That made mention of Saul, but only Hank and Gomez heard that, and they're dead, so... Yeah, and the tape was destroyed. The only connection left is Skylar. Her knowing about Saul helping him launder the money is all that's left. I always knew she was the villain. Is that why they gave her the most cringeworthy scene in the entire franchise? Happy birthday, Mr. President. Thinking about it, Saul did go on the run after Walt went into hiding, destroying everything on his way out, so... It does make him look quite guilty, but that's not exactly hard evidence, is it? If Skylar is the only outlier here, then isn't Saul being a bit paranoid? Sure, I wouldn't trust Skylar either, but is the chance of her telling the feds about you really enough to destroy your life and move to Nebraska? The point of Skylar pointing to Hank and Gomez's bodies is to get her immunity. Surely confessing to knowing about it all will just get her in more trouble. Then again, and I'm no legal expert by any means, but isn't part of getting immunity having to confess to everything you've done? And if you don't confess and it later comes to light that you did something that you didn't mention, then you can be prosecuted for it. If that's the case, then Skylar would 100% confess everything. Skylar is already being prosecuted. They've already made her. Walt's phone call, while it may have made it seem like her participation was limited and involuntary, because he threatened and intimidated her into helping him, it doesn't mean that she wouldn't know anything useful. In fact, we even saw in Granite State that the prosecutors wanted her to give them information about Walt, in exchange for leniency. All she has to do is claim Walt forced her to launder his money through the car wash and that Saul was involved. That's it. She doesn't need to say anything further that would potentially incriminate her. She can just share what she knows about Saul as information that she found out because Walt forced her to help launder the money. Yeah. Sorry, I was sort of talking myself into that then. Gene is screwed, isn't he? So, to conclude, I believe that the poster does exist, just that it was created by Gene as a safety measure. He wants to ensure that people never make the connection between Gene and Saul, because he knows for a fact that Skylar is ratting on him. There is no going back for Gene. Saul Goodman is dead, and he knows it. When Gene called the vacuum guy in Season 5, he informed him that he'd sort out the Jeff problem. And I believe that this fake wanted poster was put there in response to this. Gene knew exactly how much time he had to charm Marion, because he knew that Jeff hadn't called it in yet. The number on the poster was his. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. You can always unsubscribe down the line if you don't like what I'm posting. It's completely free, it's all cool. Thanks for watching, folks.